The time is now 5:30. The date is August the 19th, 2025. We will call to order the meeting for the City of Statesboro, Mayor and Council. We will have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Council Member Jenny Henry.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come together tonight on one accord in your spirit to make the best decisions for Statesboro, the best city around. Just help us all to keep everyone in mind and make decisions in fairness. And we just pray for peace, prosperity, and safety over the whole city. For us in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Now the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move down to agenda item 3, which is public comments. Leah, do we have any public comments in regards to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll go down to agenda item 4, consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the approval of the minutes from our August the 5th council minutes as well as executive session. It also considers the motion to approve the surplus of the 2008 Tech 3 Trailer Model 53 LP in the Statesboro Police Department, as well as consideration of a motion to approve the surplus of several firearms that have exceeded their useful life in the Statesboro Police Department. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll move on to agenda item 5, which is a public hearing, consideration of a motion to approve 5A, application AEN 25-05-04. 5B, application AEN 25-0505, application AEN 25-05-06, as well as application 25-0507 and 25-0508. Is there a motion to open the hearing on those 5 items? Is it a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, if we will, Justin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So these 5 items are actually kind of a continuation from a case that we explored last month. These are annexations that are related to the overall PUD in the old register area. So this includes the multifamily student housing complex, which you have approved. It also includes cottages, single-family homes, and commercial space. So just to give you some context on the map, the application is an amendment to that. But it's going to maintain the same, multifamily residential that was already approved. The applicant has provided us a timeline for completion of at least 2030, and that's in accordance with the submitted traffic study that they did. They've actually revised the traffic study from the last time we had this particular meeting. The project will impact the existing area. There's going to be a lot of traffic generated from this development, but that traffic study does show a number of improvements that can be made to help deal with those changes to the traffic. The project is a part of the tax allocation district, which is fairly relevant to us. And the phasing of the project, we'll see that higher density multifamily being first. So the item that we came forward with last month will be first out of the gate. If you look here, you'll see that this is in that activity regional center. So it's built for really higher density residential as well as commercial. And you'll also see the existing PUD. The areas outlined in red and white are the areas that are being requested for annexation this evening. One thing that came up at the Planning Commission meeting was concerns related to the specifics of the amenity space on this project. As we noted in the last case, there will be a community clubhouse for the multifamily, but at the intersection of the single-family residential and the townhomes, you can see it in your top left corner, there is a small dedicated amenity space. So one thing in regards to the staff report, it's not substantial in the context of the full size of this development when it comes to amenities, but there are dedicated amenities for all sections of this development. If you look on your left, you'll see the subject property. It's really just a big field at this point. The subject property from the right-of-way on Old Register Road facing the south is to your right. The property to the southeast of the subject property is on your left. The property to the east of the subject property facing the east is on your right. Staff does recommend approval of RZ 25-05-08 as well as the associated annexations. And for that rezoning, we do have unanimous concurrence from the Planning Commission. It was a 7-0. If the petition is approved, the following enumerated conditions should apply. In adherence to the recommendations of the Ogeechee Riverkeeper, the applicant must submit a wetland plan in addition to all standard plan requirements prior to the issuance of a land disturbance permit. 2, to reduce the potential of negative environmental impacts on the site, the property owner must utilize standards from the Georgia Stormwater Management Manual, the GSMM, to provide stormwater detention, TSS removal, overbank protection, and extreme flood protection in submitting the engineering plans for this project. 3, the applicant will be required to submit tree plans showing the inclusion of tree canopy based on the type of development as outlined in the UDC, i.e. individual trees for single-family lots, appropriate street trees for townhomes, and standard trees for commercial areas. So that's that 35% tree canopy that we talk about for a lot of these commercial developments. The applicant must submit final site plans corresponding to each phase of development. So they have a kind of time frame for submitting each of those, and we'll just accept them as they get started. The applicant must ensure appropriate improvements are made to the old register road in accordance with the traffic study, specifically in the areas directly adjacent to the property. In reference to that, there are some discussions in the traffic study that talk about areas outside of the immediate area that's impacted by this development. So going as far down as Langston Chapel Road and some of those things. But that is outside of the city limits and not directly related. So if established, any HOA and restrictive covenant documents must be submitted to the city for review prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. I will be glad to answer any questions related to this development, and the developer is here to answer any specific technical questions that this council may have.
All right, thank you, Justin. I want to open it up for our council. Council, is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Justin, are we taking this whole thing at once, or are we breaking it down to the individual resolutions?
So each individual annexation will need a separate vote, and then we'll make a vote on the entirety of it with the PUD.
Okay. As I just mentioned to you, we don't get together and figure all this out in advance. So the group up here, all of us had all kind of come together around the idea of bike lanes. But I'm just trying to look now and see where that would even be feasible. So I don't know which pieces where we need to start talking about that.
So in accordance with the UDC amendments, they do have to build them to the local street standards that you would build anywhere else in a normal development. I'd have to rely on engineering to discuss some of the specifics related to how we could implement bike lanes, because generally what you'll see with a local street is going to be that 60-foot right of way. And I don't know just spacing wise if that would be appropriate for bike lanes.
Okay. Well, what I'm asking first is, would it be this first one that we're looking at, or I'm just trying to look at the overall project and see in which order, when we might be talking about it.
So if you look at the development, what you'll notice is obviously the area with the multifamily, that really wouldn't make sense because it's basically just a big parking lot, and that's going to be what they build first. We can work with the developer regarding the engineering submittals for the other portions of the project to look at the potential of bike lanes in other sections of this, if that is the wish of the council.
But to Ms. Barnes' point, and I want to be clear, here we're dealing with the annexation. Then we're going to be dealing with the rezoning.
Yes, sir.
Portion. And I think, Justin, just to be clear, the issue of bike lanes is not something that should be a part of an annexation.
Okay. It would be part of the rezoning.
Right, that would be something that you would talk about as a part of the rezoning.
Yeah.
You shouldn't decide whether you're going to annex some property based on bike lanes.
Gotcha.
Okay, and so I think that,
Yes, sir.
to her point, you were going more technical, and she was someplace different. And so I think we should address the issue of the annexation first.
Okay. I just want to be clear, because it feels like we've previously done them together. We've annexed and changed it to an R2, all in the same motion, was my understanding. Maybe I'm misremembering. But I just don't want to miss the opportunity to have that condition added.
I do them separately.
Yeah, I think the council's prerogative
is to do them separately. They don't want us to do annexation one day and then come back at another meeting and do a rezoning. We try to do them on the same agenda, but they don't have to be done at one vote. So you ought to be dealing with the annexation first and then come back with the rezoning. Because you can't rezone something that's not in the city.
That's right. And I'd vote on each one of those A, B, C, and D individually,
Individual.
separate parcels.
Yes. All right, thank you, Jason. Is there anyone here to speak for this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Chris Gohagan. I'm an attorney with Talby Rushing here in Statesboro. Pleased to be here tonight on behalf of VSB Development, the developer of this project. I'm joined tonight by Jonathan Garisco, who is with the development group, and Ryan Poitras with Pape Dawson Engineers. They're the design professionals on this project. And collectively, we're here to seek your approval of these 4 annexations and PUD amendment. Was pleased to be with you last month. We considered the first part of this PUD amendment. We would have presented it all together at one time, but we had some procedural issues bringing the annexation to you. So we're just really trying to finish off what we started last month in terms of bringing these 4 parcels in and finalizing the PUD amendment. I want to thank Mr. Williams and the city planning and zoning staff for their work on this and for the staff report that they prepared. We've reviewed the conditions that are in that report, and all of those are agreeable to the developer. And we're happy to answer any other questions you have tonight and discuss what you'd like to see from this project. But from our perspective, we're here specifically to add 99.53 acres to this PUD. That'll leave it, there's already around 138 acres in it. That'll leave it around 237 acres total. It's all on the west side of Old Register Road, looking out the front door of Publix. You've driven by 1,000 times. It's vacant land. It has always been vacant land, to my knowledge, with a couple of exceptions, including a historical residence and some small uses. It's challenging land in terms of topography. It's not flat. It's got a huge utility easement running right through the middle of it, but it is very suitable for this project, and it's a great time and a great location to see it built to its maximum, highest, and best use. I specifically just wanted to mention, in addition to all the other factors working in favor of this project that Mr. Williams mentioned, this site, as Mr. Williams noted, is in the city's comprehensive land use plan and future land use plan, designated as an activity center and regional center. These are zoning designations, long-term plans to attract small and mid-sized regional commercial centers to a specific area. We've already got a cornerstone tenant in this area with Publix and everything that's been built around that. And actually, this developer is responsible for everything behind Publix. The second phase of that development, VSB Development, the same applicant built out that commercial section, Chick-fil-A, Blaze Pizza, that area that you're going to be familiar with as well. But there's a focus on a mix of higher density purposes inside of these activity regional centers, specifically with a focus on multifamily housing. And we've brought you a multifamily project here. It includes some single family properties, some student cottages, but it is largely a multifamily property, which is why we want it in the PUD. I also want to mention that this area was set aside into the Old Register Road Tax Allocation District back in 2019. For over 6 years, there's been a plan in place to build on this site and to build this type of project. In fact, if we don't build on this site, there's not going to be revenue generated to pay back those bonds so the TAD becomes productive. Importantly, the city, the county, and the school board all signed on to that TAD. So everyone has known for a long time that this is what's coming to this piece of property. And we're thrilled to present it to you tonight and kick this thing off. As I mentioned, we're here to answer any questions. Happy to have a discussion about what council would like to see out of this project. But for now, I'll take my leave. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak against this project? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's open this up for council discussion, to revisit anything that was missed during the hearing.
Tonight, we're just looking at annexation.
Okay. Some more discussion? All right. All right, council, is there a motion to approve, agenda item 5A, 5B, 5C, 5D, and 5E? Is there a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, we're doing all 5 annexations at once?
Do we have to do it individually? Is that?
be.
It should be. Okay. It's 4 annexations. Sorry, council. Is there a motion to approve 5A?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there a motion to approve 5B?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there a motion to approve 5C?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there a motion to approve 5D?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Is there a motion to approve 5E?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, that's not an annexation, that's the rezone?
Is there anything that we need to go through for the rezone?
Unless the council seeks to.
Yeah.
So discussion.
Do you want to discuss the rezone?
Yes, please.
All right. All right, so let it be noted that 5A, B, C, and D has been passed. And we will open up the discussion for 5E. All right, council,
So,
discussion on 5E.
thank you. So 5E is where we're looking at rezoning, that's the zone map amendment, or rezone. It's getting confusing, but we're adding, I know you tried to summarize it for us, Chris, and I appreciate that. And we're just finishing out what we weren't even talking about doing. But in order to do that, we're rezoning.
Well, Ms. Barr, excuse me for interrupting. You're actually zoning this property because
So
this
just
property,
idea.
the property has been in the county. And so once it comes into the city, we have to place an appropriate zoning on this property. And in this case, what they've asked for is to amend the PUD and bring it into the PUD so that it would be developed in accordance with the other development. It's always going to be a part of that PUD. And in your case, and I'm not specific,
This instance.
you have an interest, and I'm not saying just Ms. Barr, y'all might all have an interest, in trying to secure some bike lanes as a part of that development. And typically, I don't know if that's so much a part of the zoning, but, and this is for developers, what the council members asked for is really a condition of that PUD in order to secure what she believes is important and I think we all are, would say that we would like to see more bike lanes throughout the city. Because we have lots of folks that like to ride, it's healthy, and so it's a provision as a part of this PUD to include bike lanes. So it really would be not a condition of zoning, but what you're asking for is the developer to have a conditional commitment to include bike lanes in this area as well. If I think I hope I said it right.
Thank you. Yes, I think so, but my understanding was in order for it to happen, we have to make it a condition of approving the PUD. Is that right?
Approving the rezone.
What we'd like is for, and I don't want to, this is more legal, we really ought to be, you're asking the developer to offer that as a condition of the PUD is to include the bike lane.
This sounds too gray to me. What is the right thing to do in this space?
The right thing to do is zone to the proper zoning classification. And that's just based on, the default end is R40. And, the question is whether it comes in as R40 for a year or whether we do the PUD, which is what has been applied for. So that's the question for you. Is it the appropriate zoning classification for the land?
Right. Okay. And then in regards to the bike lane piece, is this the proper place to do it during the rezone? Is this, or is there another space that this would be better addressed, or is this something that the staff need to work with the developer to identify where that would be, where is that applicable?
So, Mayor and
I'm
Council.
thinking on the multifamily side, there's no bike lanes there.
Right.
Right, so are we asking for bike lanes in the single family area? I would much rather, I don't think policymakers should be getting into the development side. Let's let the staff figure out where that is applicable at. Because I feel very uncomfortable saying, well, we're rezoning if you do this. That, I'm very concerned about that. I get the idea that we want bike lanes, but I want to do it properly. So what is the right way to address this?
So Mayor and Council, we are basically zoning to the plan, and that's always been the policy when it comes to planned unit development. I'm not certain if the right of way would allow for bike lanes in terms of the size for the local road as outlined in the UDC. So we can certainly explore that as an option during the development phase, but I can't be certain that there would be room for bike lanes. Nor do I think it might be necessary that we pass that as a condition of this zone.
It should not be a condition. Mayor, it's something that the council would like to see done, but this would be the only opportunity the council has to have any input into this process, because once it's zoned, then it doesn't come back to you for this opportunity.
Exactly.
So I'm very open to instruction and guidance. You know, I'm still trying to figure out what we can and can't do. But over and over, we have, not present company, but we've had people come in and paint beautiful pictures of what's going to happen. But then if it's not required, it doesn't happen. You know, the pretty pictures aren't what gets built. So if it's not required, my experience over and over is it doesn't happen. And this is my understanding
I
of
don't
this
know if that's
elected
accurate
body.
to say that over and over it does not happen. I would not say that.
Okay.
We could say it happened in the past, but to say it happens over and over, I would say that. Let's hear from the developer. What do you guys say? And I like to exercise a point of privilege with council. Let's hear from the developer and see if we can get some feedback. We clearly. You see, council wants to see, a high quality of living in the space. They believe that there could be some bike line situations. What is the thought process with this particular development?
So the prospect of bike lanes is not something that I've previously discussed with the developer prior to tonight. I don't have concerns with bike lanes in general. I have some concerns with bike lanes as imposed on this piece of property. One being connectivity. It's not located in a place where an internal bike trail would be able to connect to any other external bike trail, and I doubt that that will ever be the case, positioned between Old Register Road, 301, and the bypass. So I think we're purely talking about an internal bike trail, and specifically on the single-family portion of the project all the way to your left, we were already very tight on those lot lines, and if bike lanes, I think that's 8 feet on each side to expand the right-of-way. What you gain in terms of quality of life from having access to a bike trail, I worry that you might lose by encroachment on the depth of these lots coming 8 feet in on each side. So I think Mr. Williams' concern about the size of the right-of-way is valid. Can we fit bike lanes in this property without impacting the lot depths too considerably? I don't know the answer to that question. So we're happy to have a conversation with staff as we move forward with this project and end up to final approval and issuance of building permits. As I sit here right now, I don't know to what extent adding bike lanes to this site plan might impact those lots.
All right, thank you. All right, any further discussion about council?
Well, I was clear, but now I'm a little confused
Okay.
as to, I'm still stuck on what is the proper discussion and in what space do we discuss bike lanes? Is this the proper place for a discussion for bike lanes? Because like you said before, we don't get another opportunity, so we do need to address bike lanes. If this is not the proper space, then when can it be addressed? When is it addressed?
Yeah, I mean, once the zoning is passed, then we don't see them again.
Right.
We don't see them again. And the other thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that if we hadn't had this discussion, I kind of feel like we're springing this on the developer. In the sense of let's ask for bike lanes. Because there's too much money involved in this. Like there's all kind of, I mean, you know, this is a project and it's at the last minute to say, okay, we want to put 8-foot right-of-ways into this development, and they have not had the opportunity to even consider that. And to spring that on them, to me, that just seems unfair. I would not want someone to do it to me. If I go to the grocery store and I got $100 on me, and then I get a phone call from home saying, hey, look, I need to get this, and that's going to now turn me to $110. I didn't plan for that. And so that's what I'm concerned about right now, because it's not like the bike lanes happen for free. There's a cost to it.
Yeah, but my question is,
Does it get to come back?
I understand like it being, you know, put on them making a decision about whether or not to add bike lanes. My question is, for future references, if we have this conversation again for other projects, where should it be had? Where should we have it?
I think that should be happening with staff before it even gets to us. And so whatever it takes for staff to kind of understand what we're looking for as a council, that needs to be the directive. That should be happening well before they get here, because that allows the developer to say, well, if they want to see bike lanes, if they want to see walking trails, they can go ahead and budget for all of that right then. And I think that that's the best time to have that before it gets to us.
That's a development standard. That, you know, like in the things that you look for in the Unified Development Code, and that clearly gives staff direction as when we're sitting there looking at projects.
Yeah.
What kind of amenities you want to have. The toughness here, the tough situation here is the property has to be rezoned. And zoning, it's difficult to put a condition on zoning because either it's going to be the R40 or you're going to make it a hood. It's a continuation of something that's already there. And the bike lane might be something that you like, but it's hard to make that a condition for saying this is the zoning that you can have. The zoning needs to be able to stand up on its own without the contingencies.
Can I ask a question? We do have like standards, like with trees, 35% tree coverage. You know, and that's in our ordinance. That's in our UDC. Can we look at putting something like this in our UDC going forward?
Yeah, going forward, yeah. And I think, again, you know, as policymakers that deal with staff, we have to be very clear with them so that when they are engaging from the forefront to know exactly what we're doing. We did a good job with the UDC. And if this is something that we want to see in projects moving forward, then let's do that. But when we are in a space where, you know, they come in and then they hear about bike lanes for the first time now, that's not fair. And so I think, you know, at this point right now, this is what they've asked for. The staff understood that this was coming. The staff didn't know this was coming. They didn't know this was coming. They made all the preparations according to their job, according to what we asked them to do, and outlaying our UDCs, ordinances, and all of that. That's what they did. And so I'm a little bit concerned, and I get it. I want walking paths, I want trails, I want bike lanes, but I just don't think it's fair to lay this on them right now. And we never said, we had no point that we ever say in our UDC when we took all of the months we wanna make sure they have this. And so I think that if we're going to do that, then let's do that. Let's do that in the UBC, let's do that the proper way. That's what I'm concerned about.
I agree with you and John.
Yeah.
So let's look at the UDC, but this is not the proper place for
Yeah,
them at this moment.
yeah.
Okay.
So I want to offer to you, Mayor, to folks listening, and to the other my council siblings here and the developers, the inspiration. I apologize for hitting you in the face with it, and it was a last minute thing that came up. Every time over the last 4 days since I've had the packet that I've looked at it, I thought about bike lanes, but I didn't reach out to everybody else because I didn't know how much support, and because it's when we get it, it's already all figured out. So, you know, it's hard to make amendments or even talk to staff and get changes. But when you ride around at Georgia Southern, all the new development has bike lanes, you know? When we were there for the Hill, when they had the dedication at the Convocation Center and driving through the parking lot, all those beautiful bike lanes. And this is right out there at the edge of Georgia Southern. And we're adding 200 plus acres to the city of Statesboro with a whole bunch of students. And this is the only opportunity. So that's why I came up at the last minute and said, can we make it happen? And was told it could be a condition. But I understand it's unreasonable to make it requirement at this last minute.
Mhm.
So I'm okay with not making a motion, but I'm very glad for everybody to have the opportunity to be nodding and saying, yes, let's talk about it, let's get this on the UDC, let's ask staff to work with them, and wherever it's feasible, put it in. People aren't gonna do things they don't have to do because it costs more money, but if and when it can be fitted in order to make it a better property, more livable property, I hope it will be. So that's my explanation for the last minute nature of what came up.
Yeah.
It just kind of evolved, and I'm not the only one that wishes we had bike lanes out there.
Yeah.
So thank you all for that.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve 5A as staff is recommended? 5E, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, let's move down to agenda item 5. I've said 5 so many times. To agenda item 6, the public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve application of RZ 07-0701. Bobby Benjo requests a zoning map amendment of 0.95 acres from R15 and highway oriented commercial to highway oriented commercial along East Parish Street. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Justin.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. So this is a slightly simpler case. We're merely looking to unify the existing zoning on this property. The shopping center was built sometime in the 1970s. That's the most that staff has been able to find in relation to its development. But the rear warehouse space was actually built on a separate parcel, which eventually ended up with a split zone piece of property in that area. The applicant is looking for some flexibility in terms of what can be done on that property in the future, and the R15 zoning does not give any of that flexibility for it. It's unlikely that there's going to be any new traffic generation from this unless he decides to tear down all of it, but that hasn't been determined yet. And he has not established the overall renovations for the warehouse area. What we've been told so far is that there could be the potential of a future daycare in that location, but that remains to be seen. So if you look, you'll see that L shape at the top of the photo is the warehouse area. That was kind of an attachment. You can see the parking that is in front of East Parish Street. And it's just kind of that little empty area. There'll be some new parking that will be required in that back area if it's rezoned and redeveloped. You'll see that this is in our redevelopment area, that corridor along East Parish Street. All of that is subject to those requirements. And you'll see the split zoning here, that yellow with the R15. And there is a neighborhood back there, but this particular piece of property just has that strange line in the middle, which is generally something that you wouldn't want to approve. You'll see the front of it here. It has a few different tenants in it. There's a laundromat, a small restaurant, a few other things in that location now. You can see on your right, you'll see the actual, I want to say that's a old radio station at that location on East Parish Street. You'll see a single-family home to the left, and you'll see across the street there's a large field. There used to be a silo there a number of years ago. Our code enforcement has torn it down since it was there. Staff does recommend approval of RZ 2507-01 with unanimous concurrence from the Planning Commission. If the petition is approved, the following enumerated conditions shall apply. Just one item, the approval of this zoning does not allow for the commencement of any work to the property without appropriate permitting. That is all I have for my report.
Thank you, Justin. Is there anyone here to speak for this request? Anyone want to speak against? Seeing that there's none, is there a motion to close the hearing? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we want to open it up for council discussion. Seeing that there's no council discussion, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We move down to agenda item 7, which is a public hearing considered for motion to approve 2 applications. This has been requested to be withdrawn for tonight. So we want to advise council of that this item has been withdrawn. And it has been withdrawn by the
developer.
Okay. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 8, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2025-21, a resolution adopting a section of 3 policies as a requirement for the community home investment program. Mr. Penny, if you'll give us a little bit of insight on that.
Mayor, members of the council, the next several items, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 items really have to do with us receiving the CHIP funds. In order for us to receive these CHIP funds, we have to approve all of these resolutions. And in this case, it's basically specifying that low to moderate income people will be given an opportunity to work as a part of these redevelopment efforts.
Right.
And so we recommend approval of the resolution. Like I said, the next 3 are all related to requirements in order for us to receive these CHIP funds.
Okay, well, let us utilize the point of privilege for agenda items 8, 9, 10, and 11 to be considered and voted on at one time.
And Mayor, the next one has to do with language access.
Number 12? Yeah, we'll do 12 separately. Let's get these resolutions out of the way.
Yeah, number 9 has to do with language access.
Okay.
Making sure folks can participate. And then the next one has to do with minority and women businesses having the opportunity to participate as contractors in the program. And then the number 11 has to do with adopting an affirmative fair housing marketing plan as a part of our part of the participating in the CHIP fund CHIP program, and we recommend approval of all these resolutions.
All right. Is there any discussion by council on agenda items 8, 9, 10, and 11?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so my understanding is this is what Gordy had in the works to collaboration with the folks at the church and with Habitat. This is just more conditions to get the money to be able to move that forward with the building and rehabbing some homes.
It's not so much the church and Habitat. This is in order for us to be able to participate in DCA's CHIP program. And so the good thing about it, and I don't know that this will happen again, but if we get CHIP funds in the future, we may have to adopt these same resolutions, but we're on record saying we're going to do all these things. That's a different, that's a memorandum of understanding and how we're going to target those funds. But this is in order for the overarching guidance for participating in the CHIP program. If we don't do these things, they're not sending us anywhere.
Thank
you. All right. Any further discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve agenda items 8, 9, 10, and 11?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so I'll go to agenda item 12, consideration of a motion to approve a contract amendment for Coastal Regional Commission for CHIP Administrative Services. Mr. Penn.
Mayor, members of the council, Coastal Regional Commission, they had wrote the application for us, and in this case, they are going to administer, this is an agreement for them to administer this grant for us. And so it's contract administration, we do recommend approval.
All right, any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All right, all those in favor? All right, let's look at agenda item 13, consideration of a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement with Bullock County, Brooklyn, Portal, and Register to allow for a ballot referendum for consideration of a 1% floating local option sales tax for all proceeds used for property tax relief. Mr. Penny, any discussion on it?
Mayor, members of the council, we discussed it in the work session, but for the record, again, we do recommend approval of the intergovernmental agreement with the county and all of those municipalities, but do want public listening to understand, if they do approve the referendum on November 4th, what will happen is this would add an additional sales tax that would then be used to reduce our millage rate. It's not to enhance our millage rate, it's simply a revenue replacement. However, what will happen is, if they approve it on November 4th, collection of those revenues will begin on January 1st, 2026, okay? However, they will not see a reduction in the millage rate until you won't vote on it until like September of 2027. What will happen is the county will collect the funds beginning on January 1st. They will distribute those funds to themselves and all the municipalities on July 1st, 2027. So we need for folks just to understand, they approve it, but it'll take about 2 years before they actually see the implementation. We do recommend approval of the intergovernmental agreement with Bullock County and all the corresponding municipalities.
All right, thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we're gonna need your help communicating this, to the best of our ability. Folks need to understand that this is an opportunity to roll back the millage rate, but it will not take effect until July 2027. So we want to communicate that. So let us go to agenda item 14, which is consideration of a motion to approve the purchase of a poll camera with accompanying equipment from Technical Electronics in the amount of $23,451.17 for the Statesboro Police Department. This is a sole source purchase. Mr. Penny, if you would.
Mayor, members of the council, our SWAT team, I think we have some of this equipment, but it needs to be upgraded, and so therefore tonight we're asking you to approve the purchase of this upgraded equipment for our SWAT team. We do recommend approval. We have the funds available for it, our SPOS funds.
Right. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's move back to agenda item 15, consideration of a motion to approve an award of contract for ENG-122J, North General Avenue sidewalk installation to Tim Lanier Construction LLC in the amount of $395,040 to be funded by T-SPLOST funds. Mr. Penny.
I can't add anything other than we recommend approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Penny. We want to open it up for council discussion. All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's go to agenda item 16, consideration of a motion to approve staff to enter negotiations with Michael Baker International Incorporated to perform engineering design services for the bridges on the creek on the Blue Mile project STM-34. This work is to be funded by GDOT.
Mayor, members of the council, we've gone through RFQ process, and our staff is recommending, along with the GDOT staff, that we be authorized to negotiate with Michael Baker International Incorporated for the design of the 3 bridges on South Main, Fair Road, and Zedderar. The culvert on Zedderar. And the cost would be covered for actually the design and the bridges by GDOT. So tonight, we're just asking for your permission to be able to negotiate with this company, and we'll be bringing back the final negotiated figure to you for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. I'm gonna open this up for council discussion. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's none, so I motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 17, other business from city council.
Mr. Mayor, I have 2 things I'd like to call attention to. Mr. Penny may do it, but thanks to Miss Olympia, we have rescheduled our last Downtown Live concert. So that's this Thursday night. Food trucks at 6 and music at 7. So folks come out and enjoy it. I think it's been a really successful project for the city. I appreciate the work and Olympia and everybody who's helped make it happen. The other good thing that I'm aware of going on this weekend that I'd like to call attention to is our next Family Fun Fair, Resource Day that Dr. Sarah Mitchell and all of her partners are putting together. And this one's going to be at the Warden Street neighborhood at the New Generation Church at 98 Thomas Street. And I believe, the last I heard, the timing was 9:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon. So that's open to everybody, a fun family day. At 98 Thomas Street on this Saturday.
Good. Thank you. Anything else from council? All right, seeing that there is none, we move down to city manager comments. Mr. Perry.
Mayor, members of the council, I want to call your attention to, we need to schedule the millage rate public hearing. We are recommending that we maintain our current tax rate at 8.625. And in order to be able to do that and not roll it back, it would require 3 public hearings. And so we're recommending that on September 2nd at 9 o'clock in the morning, during your council meeting, that you would hold the first public hearing. And then we are recommending the second public hearing be held at 6:30 p.m. on September 2nd. The same day. And we moved it to 6:30. Your memo says 6 o'clock, but it's 6:30. And the reason we're moving it to 6:30 is the planning board meets at 5 o'clock. And we know they'll be through in time in this meeting. But we want to give them enough room to get that done. And then the final public hearing would be held on the September the 16th during your regular scheduled meeting. And so those would be the tax hearings. Right, so, but again, 6:30 on September the 2nd. And then did want to mention today, Ms. Barr and myself, we did do the tour of Charm, and we're going to schedule another tour for other members of the council to be able to do that hopefully this Friday. And so just want to say, Charm is an amazing place. And Graham Real and his staff and his crew, Graham Real is the developer out of Texas. They did a tremendous job. And I will say, when I saw Graham today and congratulated him, I then turned around and said, now we need for you to build one of these downtown. It really, it raises our game. And I think he said all but 4 of the units were occupied. And so they were able to show us the 2 models. One was a single bedroom studio, and the other was a 2-bedroom. They look really nice. Took us to the pool area. Students were enjoying the pool and sun, it really is nice. And so we should congratulate them and congratulate staff. They were very complimentary of our staff and the work that they've done and how the way we helped them get through this process. And so we wanted to say that to you today. For some reason, I feel like I'm missing something. Ms. Barnes already mentioned the other, but I think that's it, man.
Okay, good deal, good deal. All right, we're gonna open it up for public comments. Are there any public comments?
Opioid, you gonna say that?
Huh?
You gonna announce about opioid settlement process?
We are taking applications for opioid, and Olivia, I don't know, we have, what's the deadline for applying?
It's open.
Okay.
All right, so no public comments. All right, we move down to agenda item 20, consideration of a motion to enter into executive session. Is it personnel?
Personnel and real estate.
Okay. All right, we're going to executive session to discuss personnel matters and real estate in accordance with OCGA 50-14-3B. Is there a vote to go into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?